Overview of today's session. We will begin with the welcome address, followed by a brief introduction and a video about the guest speaker. After this, we will listen to our eminent speaker, followed by the Q&A segment where the speaker will answer queries addressed by the moderator. We shall conclude the session with a word of thanks. On day 5, the maroon-colored garnet is associated with the visual spatial intelligence. Young leaders possessing skills in puzzle building, painting, constructing, fixing, designing objects can fulfill their dreams as sculptors, artists, inventors, architects, mechanics, or engineers. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. Henry David Thoreau.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant evening to one and all. Welcome to Avenue 2021 Career Guidance Celebration, a global virtual career guidance program launched by Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir under the aegis of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. On behalf of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir, we, Shubham of Class 11 from ISWK and Anushri of Class 10 from ISWK, take the proud privilege of expressing our profound gratitude to His Majesty Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the altruistic and noble benevolence showered on the Indian community in the Sultanate of Oman. It is for the very first time that we go global. Therefore, this event is of paramount importance that promises to bring the global student community under one canopy through Avenue 2021, where students converge not only from the local Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman, but also from the other school boards such as CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, and IB spanning across the MENA region and countries across Southeast Asia.
It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in the Sultanate of Oman, members of the various Board of Directors, CBSE officials, distinguished members of the Ministry of Education, Oman, and officials of the Embassy of India, Sultanate of Oman. Mr. Alkesh Joshi, Honorary President of the SMC, Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir, presidents and members of the SMCs of all Indian schools in Oman and from other schools and boards across the globe. Principals, teachers, parents, staff, and students of all participating schools. We are gathered here to have a glimpse for the future professions of the world. Here we have MS.NISHIGANDHA KELKAR to showcase the splendor, wit, and talents required for enriching the environment. The speaker, with a rich experience and academic honor, is here to inspire the students with her words of guidance. Without further ado, let's welcome MS.NISHIGANDHA KELKAR.
MS.NISHIGANDHA KELKAR is a high accomplishing professional currently working as an engineering leader based in the United States. She has been a high achiever throughout her life so far, first graduating second in the country for a 12th standard CBSE board exams, while being the head girl of Indian School Muscat, followed by topping her college in aerospace engineering. Later, she got a master's degree in management where she topped again. Mrs. Nishigandha is also a founding member of Project Launchpad, which is a startup that provides quality content on how youth can navigate through these years of their lives. Ms. Nishigandha has given several talks, most noteworthy of which is a TEDx talk entitled Take Off to a Brighter Future. She has previously spoken at IIT Bombay and has even inspired students in England and Scotland through an interview at Youth STEM 2030. Ms. Nishigandha's work has been recognized in the news in Youth Ki Awaaz, Ariana Huffington Run Thrive Global, Taylor Talks podcast that features excellent ERAU alumni and Suchitra Academy's event in which she spoke alongside Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu. Dear audience and participants, you are requested to fill in the feedback form which will be posted in the description box towards the end of the session. Filling this form is necessary as it will fetch you a participation certificate. For those who have joined through YouTube, are requested to check the description box for the link of the feedback form. Participants are requested to post your queries and questions in the chat box that may be addressed by our esteemed speaker.
Let's watch the welcome video of the guest speaker.
Hello everyone. My name is Nishigandha Kelkar, and I'm an aerospace engineer and an entrepreneur based in the United States. About a decade back, I was in the same shoes as you, trying to figure out what my next steps should be. Fast forward to today, I'm working as an engineering leader at a major aerospace firm in the United States. Join me at the ISWK Avenir 2021 event as I tell you how to make your dreams take flight. See you then. Bye.
I now request our esteemed speaker, Ms. Nishigandha Kelkar, to begin her motivating presentation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak at Avenir 2021 event. I'm humbled to be introduced and invited onto this platform. And I truly hope that this speech today helps you take flights towards accomplishing your dreams. So let's get started. Many years back, two brothers, Wilbur and Orville, thought something crazy. They wanted to defy gravity and fly away into the skies. They figured everything out, from how the physical structure should be, all the way to how they're going to power the aircraft. They finally ended up with this beautiful looking aircraft called the Wright Flyer. Fast forward to today, there's a high probability that both you and I have traveled in an aircraft or at least seen one. So can you imagine that in a little over a century, how the aviation and aerospace sciences have evolved, that today we're able to sit in a pressurized metal vessel and fly at 30,000 feet around the world. We're able to board a spacecraft, travel to space and return. And soon we're even planning a mission to Mars. That is the impact of STEM fields in action. Hello, everyone. My name is Nishigandha Kelkar, and I'm an aerospace engineer working at a leading aerospace company in the United States. A few years back, I was in the same shoes as you, wondering what my next steps should be. For one, I've always been extremely passionate about learning new concepts, whether that is in math or physics. And this enthusiasm led me to pursue aerospace engineering. As a child, I would create posters of planets, stare for hours at the moon, and even chase airplanes when I heard them jet through the sky. Fast forward to today, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work on some incredible technologies that are having direct societal impact. For instance, as an integration lead for the Boeing 777X project, while at Collins Aerospace, I got to create the first all touchscreen technology in the cockpit of commercial air transport. Once the 777X takes the skies, it will be the largest and most fuel-efficient aircraft in the world. But do you know what the greatest impact will be? It will be to help you travel safely across the world and stay connected with your family. So as an aerospace engineer, you get to work on technology that will help connect people, resources, and progress us towards a globalized society. Think about air ambulances. Think about being able to get your necessities delivered through air cargo. Think about being able to travel to meet your family. All of this is possible because of aviation. But wait a second. You may be asking me, hey Nishi, you spoke about the young Nishi wanting to fly high, and then about what you're doing today. How can I, as someone who has dreams of a brighter future, facilitate the opportunity to achieve them? So that is precisely going to be the topic of my presentation today. And to make it fun, I'm going to run through the procedure that pilots undertake until you take off. So let's get started. Firstly, when you're hoping to fly, you have to make sure that the weather is suitable. As an aerospace engineer, I can attest that there's a direct correlation between how the external weather is and the impact that it has on the structure of the aircraft that you're trying to fly. So it is important to understand how the weather is today, how fast the wind is blowing, what the prediction is over the next hour, and so on. So relating this to what you can do in preparation for taking up STEM majors, I'd suggest first, understand what is out there. Gain exposure to the various fields that you can pursue. Robotics, computer science, aerospace, industrial. There are so many fields with such wonderful applications to people's lives. So grab onto every opportunity that you have to develop a basic understanding of what's out there. For all our parents who are tuned in today, I urge you to look into boot camps for hands-on STEM activities for your children. Next, when you arrive at the airport, you're going to do a pre-flight check. So this means making sure whether you have enough fuel, whether you have sufficient quantity of oil. And relating this to your preparation, I invite you to gain awareness of your interests. Spend some time and understand what it is that piques your interest. So reflecting back on my journey, I got excited by concepts in physics. Gravitation, thermodynamics, laws of motion were my favorite topics from 11th grade physics, and I really wanted to learn more about them. In fact, when my parents got me an entire set of childcraft encyclopedias, the books on our Earth and our universe were my absolute favorite. That was my first introduction to planets, orbits, maneuvers, and I was already imagining myself as a habitant on Mars. So the message here is to take a moment and connect at a deeper level with yourself. Make sure that you have the fuel you need to keep going on to the next stage. All right. So once we have checked if we have enough fuel and oil, you will probably check whether your control surfaces are moving smoothly, whether your tires are in good condition, because we all want to fly an aircraft that is structurally in a good shape. So relating to the advice I'd like to pass on, make sure that you're taking adequate care of your physical well-being. It's easy to get fixated on the theoretical research aspect of the task and forget to get enough sleep and exercise, but make sure that you stay fit because it'll equally be important in driving your performance. Next, when I sit inside my aircraft, I'm going to be speaking with air traffic control. So I'll tell them about myself, my intention to fly, where I'm wanting to head today, and so on. So the message here is to gain quality advice from the key people in your life. Talk to a trusted career counselor for advice on the universities where you'd like to apply. Form a support group in which you can help and push each other forward. Talk to your school alumni who have made it to your dream university. Reach out, and you never know where you'll get help. All right, so back to our cockpit. The next step in our flight plan is to taxi out into the runway and to make sure that the engine is revving up as expected. By pushing the throttle in, you're going to be creating a higher propulsive force, which means you're going to try to gain the push you need to go ahead. Relating this to your preparation, make sure that you stay up to date with the latest developments in your chosen field of interest. Consistently be on the lookout for opportunities because trust me, every single one of them will help you grow. Reflecting upon my journey, I was able to participate in astronomy quiz in 11th grade, which helped me expand my knowledge to understand more about our space. The galaxies, star phenomena in physics, such as wormholes, black holes, supernovas, and the like. So participate in these events and be a curious learner. Remember to keep your eyes wide open in search for opportunities. And once you figure out what your interest is, look for ways that you can enhance it, practice it, and grow it. All right, so now let's imagine that you're parked at the runway, ready for takeoff. But now you realize that the weight of the aircraft needs to be overcome. Let's pause for a second and think what we can do. Maybe let's think of our real life scenario in which we could notice this. When I wanted to take off to pursue my dreams of studying aerospace engineering, there were many things that were holding me back. Some were my personal fears, such as, will I be able to do this? How am I going to manage studying such difficult concepts? Will I even be able to understand anything? Pause right there. Let me tell you right here that you will. What matters is that you're ready to put in the hard work to do your best. So do not let that weight keep you down. Believe in yourself, your hard work, your passion, your ambition, and have the determination to achieve your dreams. All right, so jumping right back into the cockpit. One aspect that you'd like to make sure is that you have all the necessary documents with you. So while flying, it's suggested to have an emergency checklist so that you have a place to go to in case things go wrong. You would also want to make sure that you have your airworthiness certificate, pilot's license, weight and balance information, and so on. So relating this to your situation, make sure that you gather all the information you need about universities where you wish to apply. To provide a little structure to this process, here's what I would suggest. First, start with understanding where you want to study. Second, look up universities that offer your preferred degree program, and then dive deeper to understand what their specific requirements are. So many US universities will require you to have SAT, IELTS, TOEFL scores, and so it helps to know the requirements well ahead of time so that you can start your preparations in a timely manner. One aspect that I'd like to point out here is that this step brings with it financial commitment. So to not let that stand in the way of you achieving your dreams, I'd suggest applying for scholarships, planning to have internships or part-time jobs that can help you overcome a part of the expenditure. And very importantly, gaining financial literacy from a very young age. Knowing how to budget and responsibly manage your finances is a skill that will help you lifelong. So make sure that you pick it up before you leave for college. All right, so back to our cockpit. Let's just take a moment and appreciate how beautiful it is. You have dials that show you the airspeed, the climb rate, the bank angle, and so on. Similarly, make sure that you have a metric for what you're setting out to achieve. If becoming an aerospace engineer is your goal, then create interim goals for yourself that help you stay on that path. It's fine to pivot, but just make sure to be self-aware that you're focused throughout your journey. I had written myself a letter with the goals I wanted to accomplish every year in college, and that really helped me stay on track towards accomplishing them. Great. So next, you're aligned with your runway and ready to push the throttle to gain power. You look at the beautiful cockpit. and notice that your fuel quantity is showing low. Uh-oh, isn't this something we should have noticed earlier? You're right. But hey, this is what it teaches you. Oftentimes, we're so fixated on our goals that we forget to spend time for what we truly enjoy and cherish. So while you're busy figuring out the next step, take time to spend with your family. For me personally, staying away from my family has been the toughest challenge. I cherish every moment I get to spend with them, and I'm so thankful for the love and support they shower on me. So remember to refuel yourself from time to time and stay closely knit with your loved ones. And now the time has finally come. Your eyes are on the target. You're revving up your engines. And then slowly but beautifully, you take flight. You defy gravity. That is the most beautiful aspect of aviation. You're no longer curtailed by what you see around you. For you, my friend, have dared to dream above and beyond. When you do take flight, you move towards a bright future. Fly away into the sky using your internal strength to counteract any forces that hold you back. So cherish that moment and embrace it. Once you take off, you gain altitude and level off. But then suddenly, you may start experiencing certain bumps. Looks like the air currents are causing it. But fear not, and stay focused for what's ahead. Relating this to our topic, when you set out to study STEM majors, it's not going to be easy. These are extremely complex concepts that take time to grasp. But here are some tips that will help you. 1, make sure that you have all the resources you need. Taking notes during class is a great way to learn of the content. Follow that up with referring to the supplemental materials that your professor offers, whether that is lecture notes, textbook, etc. Look whether you have tutoring center at your school and tap into the expertise with any questions you have outside the professor's office hours. If you think it's helpful, form a study group and collaborate on sessions in which you can help each other push forward. Second, normalize failure. I say this because reality check. You are creating something new in engineering. You're defying boundaries and thinking of what's not been thought of. Whether it's your code or a physical structure you're building, you are going to face difficulties along the path. But guess what? It's okay. Learn from them and keep moving forward. Even though I graduated top of my class in aerospace engineering, I cannot begin to tell you the number of times I failed. There were numerous times I didn't get a problem right, or my code gave me an answer that was off by exponents. But just by being persistent and not giving up, I was able to correct my mistakes and keep moving forward. All right, so back to our cockpit. Looks like the turbulence has gone away and we're back to straight and level flight. But there's so much to do that you're juggling between the tasks. You're making sure that you talk to air traffic control. You're making sure that you're flying in the correct direction. You're monitoring the health of systems on board. So relating this to our topic, I suggest developing a holistic personality that you can manage to go through various aspects of your life all together. For me, the reason I was able to do so well in school and college was because I was involved in a lot of activities that I equally enjoyed. I was the head girl on the table tennis team, debating team, and also pursuing science with engineering graphics. While at college, I was the president of Engineering Honors Society, treasurer for Engineers Without Borders, representative for student government, while also passionately studying core aerospace subjects. I was able to do all of this because I realized that the multifaceted aspect of my personality helped me tap into the various joys of life. As head girl and student government rep, I got to live my want of serving people. As an athlete, I was able to stay physically fit. As a treasurer, I was able to challenge myself to figure out ways that I can grow money. By attending the Global Young Leaders Conference at New York City at an impressionable age of 11th grade, I was able to understand the issues that we face as a society. At the end of the day, all of this added on to my personality that helped me form a mature perspective towards issues. So gain that experience and work towards forming a holistic personality. Now, while it is quite a task to balance between different things, eventually each and every experience that you gain will help shape your worldview for the better. All right, so back to our cockpit for one last time. Looks like you have the communication figured, your systems on board look good, and you've figured out how to navigate towards your destination. Good job. The last thing I'd like to point out here is that while you're navigating towards achieving your dreams, remember to keep the bigger picture in mind. For me personally, it is the fact that the aircraft that I'm working on will be helping connect people and thereby directly adding value to their lives. In some cases, these aircraft will act as air ambulances to help save lives. In others, they will transport essential goods and services from one place to another. So when you connect the purpose of what you're doing with the bigger cause, it'll help you stay truthful towards your goals and accomplish them with high standards of quality and integrity. So that is how you make your dreams take flight. Enjoy the ride, stay focused, and believe in the purpose of what you're setting out to accomplish. Wishing you all blue skies ahead. Thank you so much.
That was an extraordinary and inspiring session by Ms. Nishigandha Kelkar. Now, we would like to request our most honored speaker, Ms. Nishigandha Kelkar, to kindly attend the Q&A session where the audience would like to clarify their doubts and concerns. I now invite the moderator to ask the questions.
Once again, good evening and welcome to you, Nishigandha Kelkar from Team Avenir at ISWK, Muscat, Oman. Let me first congratulate, and I'm absolutely in awe with the way you have woven the aeronautical vocabulary into your presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, let us continue with the questions. I think you have very well put it. Okay, but let me ask you this, Ms. Kelkar. There are students, there's a query here saying, what do we do if we are not able to take a good takeoff from a cockpit and remain at low altitude? So what do you do? How do you handle those issues? Of course, it's a metaphor here, just the way you tried to weave in. So I understand you were talking about the mindset and the focus on your target. Could you please elaborate a little bit on it? These young minds still need to get exposed to the normal day-to-day challenges of life.
Absolutely. Yeah, great question. So in all honesty, I think, when you set out to accomplish something huge, it's never a linear path. And that's something I've realized firsthand time and again. There are just so many obstacles that you're going to overcome. And by the way, relating this back to the cockpit, let's say that the weather seems nice, you've taken off. Suddenly, you may start experiencing air currents that were not previously predicted, because it's weather after all. So I think having obstacles is something that is normal, that is something which is expected. And to be honest, that's something that I've started enjoying at this point. Because when you're experiencing those obstacles, that's when you have the true opportunity to do something huge. So relating this back to my personal experience, I think moving abroad at such a young age, you're definitely trying to navigate through how are you going to pay off, such a huge amount. And I'm extremely lucky and privileged to have parents who supported me through this journey. And while I took on-campus jobs to try and navigate through this, one of them was tutoring students. So definitely a huge intent of that was so that I can earn up enough money and save it to meet some of the expenses. But what I learned through that process was the power of being able to understand a concept at its basic level and communicate it to others. So the point that I'm trying to get across here is that when you view obstacles as opportunities, you suddenly elevate your experience to another level, because now you're open to be getting so much more out of that opportunity than just viewing it as something that's sort of blocking you on the way ahead. So all the kinds of issues that you're going to experience, I think financial constraints is one we covered. Another is, figuring out how you're going to stay away from your family. I think next is focusing on the core content. You're going to be looking at difficult subjects. Like in my case, it was literally rocket science. So all these kind of obstacles that you go through, I think develop mechanisms that you can employ to sort of navigate through them. So if it's financial constraints, we talked about scholarships. If it's staying away from your family, try to get in touch with them on a regular basis. Try your best to come back home, spend time with them, stay in touch about how things are at your end. The third one is, dealing with such difficult concepts in such difficult majors. I think we talked about going to tutoring centers. We talked about seeking help from professors. We talked about spending time with the content and trying to come up to speed. It is difficult. I'm not going to deny that. But I also do know from my personal experience that if you have the right resources in place and you're coupling it up with the hard work, then it is definitely achievable. So I think to sum it up in one line is institute a mechanism to how you're going to deal with those issues and see the obstacles as an opportunity.
I very much agree with you, Ms. Kelkar. And what I understand from you is that you should have the right strategy and the coping mechanisms to go through the whole process. Mind you, students, all who are watching us virtually right now, she clearly mentions it that it's a process. It is not a one-time job. And having the right coping methods, in the sense she joined in tutoring, groups where she could even help out her colleagues, her fellow students, as well as, get an in-depth knowledge from her teachers. And as you rightly said, when we teach, we understand better. So these are some ways which she even try to help her parents financially. And I think all this needs to come to you when you are extremely focused and you want to achieve the target under any circumstances. So that is a spirit she held. Ms. Kelkar, let me ask you, is there any organization or are you aware of any institutions which could employ children, who are undergrad to the levels of project, in the sense being helpers at the project in projects related to aerospace engineering?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I did, which I recommend, is do not wait until later to get an internship or a hands-on experience. So for me, from day one, I was very focused on participating in projects, participating in sort of experiences that helped me bridge the gap between what I was learning in my core curriculum and how the industry was functioning. So the way I went about that was to just reach out to people, to network, to sort of form relationships with your professors so that they know what you're interested in. Because at my university, a lot of our professors were very supportive and they directly referred you to a company where you could go and spend the summer. Also, I think what really helped me out was to reach out directly to HRs of companies with my resume, to sort of talk about my background and say that, hey, I at this point want a foot in the door and I'm ready to learn. As someone, let's say, who's in their first year of college, you may not have learned through as many courses, but I think just showing that you're someone who's passionate and you have that drive in you to learn new concepts is something that I think employers will definitely appreciate. And then once you are, you have that opportunity, then definitely make the most of it. I think, whatever tasks you're given, do them to the highest quality. Try to talk to other engineers on the team and understand what their daily schedule looks like. So when I was interning for my second and third rotation, I used to shadow some of the full-time systems engineers, and I used to see them perform verification, validation efforts at our test benches. I used to see them directly talk to our customer who was Boeing at that time to resolve any in-flight issues that were seen. I used to shadow them on the core technical aspects, like opening up the models and understanding what sort of code changes need to be made. And that really helped me provide a perspective into what an engineer does on a full-time basis. So I think when you are stepping out into the industry, seek to form those relationships, seek to network, and seek to really just reach out to companies who are in the aerospace field. They have job postings that you can go ahead and apply. If you know anyone within your network whose email address is something that's accessible to you, leave them a kind email just outlining your experience, but put it out there, sort of let the universe manifest it for you, but definitely have the focus and vision from yourself to put that first step out there.
So students, she's trying to tell you that you please be available to any opportunity that comes your way. Do not undermine it and make best out of it. Because she was able to shadow people in their projects of research, she could actually bridge the gap between the theory and the practical. Right, Ms. Kelkar? Absolutely, ma'am. Okay, one last question to you, Ms. Kelkar. There is a question here in Q&A which says that how different is the commercial piloting course from the degree that we are talking about, that is aerospace engineering? How different and how similar are they? And what needs to be done if somebody goes into commercial piloting courses?
Yeah, good question. So I myself am an aerospace engineer, and in this we learn about how to create aircraft and spacecraft. So all that you see flying out into the skies today was created by a really smart bunch of people who understood how to create the structure, how to work out the electrical wiring, how to figure out the aerodynamics, how to figure out the propulsion, that is how the engines are going to get the energy they need to keep moving the aircraft forward. So engineers are the creators behind these technologies. And as pilots, you're going to be the one who fly these aircraft. So the course that I personally pursued is aerospace engineering. And the commercial piloting aspect that you spoke about is something in which they'll talk to you about the operational aspect of it. How do you interact with your controls? How do you fly it through different phases of flight, of weather? How do you communicate with air traffic control and things like that? From my personal experience, since I work as an avionics engineer, my team and I work on creating the cockpit displays that the pilots directly interact with. So this is the technology that is going to help the pilots understand how their systems on board are, whether they're healthy, whether there's enough fuel, whether there's enough tire pressure, and details like that. I've personally found it really helpful to have a basic pilot's license, like even a private pilot's license, to be coupled up with your engineering experience, because I think this is going back to one of the topics we talked about, is knowing the impact of what you're trying to create. So if you are someone who's wanting to become an aerospace engineer, you know that this technology I am creating is going to impact pilots. So being able to then step into the shoes of being a pilot, you gain an empathy for what your end user is going to experience when they use this technology. So that is where I think both these parts sort of intersect, in my case more specifically, because like I said, it's avionics. But if you're looking for, let's say, structures, mechanical aspects like that, I think it's great to go into the deeper trenches with aerospace engineering degrees. And as and when possible, definitely take an opportunity to look at what your final product shapes out to be, because that sort of gives you an appreciation for your efforts.
Thank you very much for your enlightening session, Ms. Kelkar. Over to the comparers now.
Thank you, ma'am, for all your support and guidance given to the great audience for attending to their concerns so patiently during the course of the discussion. Dear audience, we once again request you to fill in the feedback form, which is available on the official website, avenirOman.com.
As we draw to an end of this great and enriching session, I deem it my great privilege to propose a vote of thanks. Let me first express a profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the magnanimous benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower abundant blessings on His Majesty and his country. We extend heartfelt thanks to our eminent speaker, Ms. Nishigandha Kelkar, for all her words of motivation. Thank you, ma'am. Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Chairman, Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman, and other honorary directors in the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Thank you for your encouraging presence and guidance at all times. Our profound thanks to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the Honorary President, Indian School Managing Committee, and other members of the Indian School Muscat Management Committee for their profound encouragement at all times. I also wish to take this opportunity to express our warm gratitude to our pillar of strength, Mr. D.N. Rao, Principal, ISWK, Principals of the Indian Schools in the Sultanate of Oman, for their support and guidance at all times. I wish to thank each and every student and parent for their valuable presence in making this program a grand event. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you, my ISWK team, for making Avenue 2021 possible.
We are indeed grateful to our platinum sponsor, StudyCo, gold sponsors, Gen Group of Institutions, Grey Matter Academics, Vellore Institute of Technology, and Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education and Research. Bronze sponsors, Middle East College, Thapa Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dallas Baptist University, and MIT World Peace University, Pune. Our digital partner, Spectrum, and our media partner, The Arabian Stories, for their support in making this mega event a tangible reality. Thank you, one and all, for your gracious presence here this evening. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you, team, for making Avenue 2021 possible. Thank you all. See you soon for the next session. Take care and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. And students, you can leave.